Okay, we're good. We're on the record. Before we go anywhere, let's cover a couple of things. Number one, and most important, Dawn, our co-agent Dawn, lost his sister today. She passed away. So Dawn has had a rough kind of 12, 18-month period. Okay, Dawn lost his mother roughly 8 months ago, and he lost his sister today. If you have it in you to reach out with any well wishes or just, a quick little text expressing condolences, please do that. As you guys know or may not know, because we don't spend a lot of time together, but Don's a really good guy. So I feel bad for him and thinking about him and his family. Number two, the meeting last week that we had, we discussed a lot of pretty sensitive things. I will not put that on the YouTube channel. Okay. I don't want anybody to be able to access that, kind of like I don't want anybody to be able to just automatically access the one that we did not too long ago about how Damien lists property. I don't really want to put my listing strategy out there free to the world. So if you want a playback for that meeting last week, let me know. It's still in the cloud. I can get it for you, and I'm happy to share that with you. This one here will go to the channel just like the rest of them, so that if you want to rewatch it, need to rewatch it, you'll be able to find it on that channel. Okay. Number three, I've been doing an experiment, and we all mess around to some extent with social media, some of us more than others. But I'll tell you something right now. If you want a social media post to blow up, okay, just write something with a colored background that has to do with the new practice changes, and that thing will explode, right? So 2 weeks ago, I said something about the SPBB form, and in kind of like humorous way, thing absolutely blew up. This morning, I put another one, or this afternoon rather, put another one on there about the SPB form, and I actually had to stop. The thing was blowing up, and I had to stop replying to comments. So I think for at least the time being, the secret sauce to social media is to talk about the practice change, and you'll blow up and go viral, or whatever you want to call it. Not to say that my post is going to go viral. It is not, but you will get a lot of interaction, and you get some pretty interesting comments too. It's interesting to read. Okay. And that's it. So let's go on to what we're really talking about today. And that is, I think the original thing was beat the S blank, 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 blank out of the discounters. And we're going to talk about what's going on right now. It's loosely known as the race to the bottom, and how we deal with that, right? Everybody familiar with the term or the catchphrase race to the bottom and what it means? Okay. If you don't, basically what that means is that with the practice change, anytime you have any kind of change, and not that the race to the bottom hasn't been occurring forever, but anytime you have any kind of change, there's this fear that develops that, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose business because of this change. And in order to maintain or grow my business during this change, or to capitalize on whatever the change might be, I'm going to go out and I'm going to offer my services or my product at a substantial discount. Okay. And that's how I'm going to collect all the business, and that's how I'm going to be busy, and I'm going to get rich, and everybody else is not going to have any business because I'm going to offer things at a discount. All right. So currently we have that going on both sides of the real estate transaction in a couple of different ways. Right. And I know there's 100 of them, but let's kind of try and hone it down for this discussion. The other thing is, this is going to be a high participation meeting, right? This is not just going to be me talking. This is going to be a high participation meeting, because oh yeah, Steve, it totally is. It totally is. It's your favorite kind. And that's because in order to really get the most out of this and to come up with the good stuff and the good answers, that's going to come from the group, okay? Because everybody does things different. So let's hone it down, race to the bottom, both sides of the transaction. Let's start with the buy side. Okay, let's start with the buy side. So the fear on the part of the buyer, or the big fear on the part of the buyer now, is what? Oh, geez, I'm going to have to pay my own agent's commissions when I buy a house, right? That's the fear. That's the fear that the discounter is trying to tap into with their proposal, right? So the proposal might look something like this. Don't worry, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer. I know you have to pay your own commission now. I know that's a lot of money. I know you're worried about it, but don't worry because you can hire me to be your agent and do everything that you need and handle your transaction for $500. Okay. Don't go pay Damien $12,000 when you can hire me for $500. Right. So that's the pitch to the buy side of the transaction. Sell side of the transaction. This is a little bit more complicated, but sell side of the transaction. The fear of the seller is, or the fear of the seller, or maybe not the fear, but the concern of the seller is, hey, wait a minute. Since this practice change went through, I don't have to pay a commission anymore to the buyer's agent. All right. And that's a good thing. That's going to give me more money. This is what they're thinking, not reality, just to clarify. That's a good thing. It's going to get me more money. But I've heard, because, I look at Facebook a lot, that if I don't pay a commission, nobody's going to show my house. So I'm not really sure what to do. So the pitch from the listing side raised to the bottom people is, hey, Mr. Seller, don't worry. Okay. You can list your house with us and only pay our commission, which we may or may not discount from typical. Let's say we're still going to charge 3%. You can pay us. Don't worry about it. We won't charge you a buy side commission. And if for some reason a buyer needs an agent or a buyer comes and he wants to buy the house, we'll handle the buyer for you for the same 3%. In other words, you're going to save 3% from paying a buy side commission. Okay. You don't have to worry about nobody wanting to buy your house because you're not paying a commission, because we're going to take the buyers and handle them for you. And we're not going to charge you for that because we're so happy that you're listing your house with us. All right. So basically, we're going to do a dual agency transaction for 3% or 2.5% on your house. It's going to save you all this money, and you're going to be happy, and it's going to be great. All right. Yes, I know there's different variations of it all out there, but let's simplify it for the sake of our discussion, and let's take those two scenarios. Fair enough? Everybody's still with me. If you're still with me, nod, wave, do something, sign in, chime in, whatever. Those of you that aren't on camera right now, I'm going to pretend that you're still with me and that everybody understands. All right. So, oh boy. So, how do we, as professional real estate agents and people who want to get paid for what they do, how do we compete with the discounters? Okay. Now, let me put something else into perspective real quick for you. The idea of discounting on the sell side of the transaction primarily has been around off and on and off and on as long as I've been selling real estate. Let me mention a few names to you. Help You Sell, Purple Bricks, Casa. Okay. Do you recognize any of these names? These were all either some kind of flat fee, seller assistance, basically discount brokerages. This is not a new concept. It's never worked on a large scale. Most of them filed bankruptcy within 2 years. Even the almighty Zillow tried it. Didn't work. Okay. So it's out there. Okay. But what we're talking about now is human beings that work for actual brokerages that are offering a discount. Okay. Where was I? So how do we, as real estate agents that want to make an income and want to protect our commissions, how do we deal with going up against the discount? So for the purpose of the discussion, the framework is this. We're either talking to a buyer or a seller that has been approached by a discounter and has offered one of those two proposals that I described. All right. Now, I'm not expecting you to pitch right now. I'm expecting you to have a discussion about what you bring to the table or how you might approach that discounter to go for the win. I'm going to push you along, but you're going to give me some input here. Let me give you the second little piece of information before we start, and that is this. This is at the same time the most difficult thing to tackle and the easiest thing to tackle. Okay? When you haven't done it a lot, when you haven't been faced with this a lot, it's extremely difficult because your answer initially will be like, okay? Once you do it a few times and you get really comfortable with it, it's actually extremely easy, okay? I would much rather be in discussion with the seller and be competing with somebody that was offering a discounted listing than somebody that was really good at their job offering a traditional listing with the same kind of terms as I had. Okay. I'm going to go to Steve real quick on this one. Steve, agree or disagree on that comment? Would you rather go up against a discounter or would you rather go up against someone that was a really solid agent with a traditional package similar to yours?
Obviously the discounter, because it's easier to show your worth.
Right. Okay, good. So I'm glad that we agree. All right. So where do we want to go first? We want to go listing or we want to go buyer? I think we should probably go buyer because most of you are going to do buyers. Not all of you are doing listings at this point. I think we should go buyers. Anybody disagree? All right. So here's the framework. You've sat down with a buyer. You're trying to get them to sign the BRBC and to enter the fiduciary relationship with you to sell houses. You want to do that on an exclusive basis because if you don't do it on an exclusive basis, you're a fool. All right. They've told you, Michael, I like you. I do. I really like you. You're my favorite guy. But Damien is going to do the whole transaction for $750. Okay. That's our framework. So I know what you're all going to default to saying, and I'm going to make you stretch way deeper than that. Well, I'm going to show them the thing from NAR that says all the things that real estate agents do during a transaction. There's 178 things that real estate agents do that nobody knows about. And it's just going to blow their mind about how hard I have to work for them, and it's going to handle it. How many realtors are there in the area? And can we say 10,000? Should we say 10,000? Is there 10,000 realtors in Sac and Placer County? Probably. All right. They all have that. They all have that. They're all bringing that. Okay. You're just going to look like another one of 10,000. So you don't get to go with that one. So let's assume that you're going to do that just as a course of practice. But now what? Now what? Okay. Popcorn, you don't got to raise your hand. You just got to chime in. Don't talk over the top of each other. That's the only rule I got. What value do you bring to the table? Somebody start now.
So I just want to clarify that you want to hire the attorney that's suing you.
No.
Is that how it goes?
Yes, but no. Okay. That's dual agency. I like that, but that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is you're competing against another buyer's agent that is trying to get them to sign the BRBC to go start looking at houses. Okay. What do you bring to the table that the discounter does not? Damien's going to do it for $750. You want to charge 3%. Okay, let me get your creative juices flowing, everyone. Okay. Mr. Buyer, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I understand that they're only charging $750 and I'm charging you 3%. Okay. That may seem a little wonky, but you need to understand that you will never pay me that money. It's not coming from you. Okay. The $750 that they're getting paid, that wouldn't come from you either. Right? It's not coming from you. It's coming from the seller. I'm going to guarantee you that I'm going to get it from the seller, or I'm going to guarantee you that I will take whatever the seller pays. Okay. I'm willing to go in into that with a level of risk, all right? But it's not coming from you. So let's go ahead and just take that off the table because you're never going to pay me that. Okay? Obviously, that's the nail in the coffin. But what else you got? What do you bring to the table that the discounter is not going to bring to the table? Give me some things.
Okay, so it's like buying name brand shoes versus Walmart shoes, okay? I'm never gonna fall apart on you. Your house isn't gonna fall apart. Our transaction's not gonna fall apart. Your Walmart shoes are gonna fall apart after you step outside, okay? So you have to make sure you sign up for the name brand shoes because they're gonna last forever and do good for you forever. We should be exclusively committed.
Good. 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 I'll tag on to that. Okay. Unless your buyer shows up in a broken down 1973 Datsun B210. Most of you don't even know what that is. Michael knows what it is. He knows exactly what it is. Okay. But they're not going to do that. They're going to show up in a fairly late model, really nice car. Okay. And I've used this one. Careful. Okay. I'm going to, fair warning, full disclosure. This is a slippery slope. All right. This is a slippery slope. But you can say, hey, I noticed that you're driving a pretty nice, fairly new Honda Accord. Why did you spend the money to buy that car? We can go on down to, Sam's Auto Sales on the not so nice part of Fulton and find you a 1975 Yugo for the same money that the other buyer's agent is going to charge you on a transaction. Drive that. Why not? Right? Quality costs money. Quality costs money. Somebody else, what do you bring to the table that the discounter will not?
And even think if you were the one to pay my fee, what are you getting for $750 compared to the 3%? How much work and above is that agent going to do to take you by the hand and lead you through this process?
Right. So do the math, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. What is a real estate agent's time worth per hour? How many hours of work, how much time do you think that the $750 buys you with the discounter? How much attention to detail do you think that the $750 buys you?
If a discounter is only offering a third of what I'm going to make, they're only going to put out a third of the work. None of us go to work for a discounted salary and work 100%. It's just not anything anybody does anywhere.
Great.
Yeah, I'll be there for the inspections. I'll schedule the inspections. These are the things I'll be doing that take time, and that's what you're paying for me to do, is the time to do the job.
I think I have a really good analogy that's often used, and maybe you guys can come up with a better way of using it because it's just popped into my head. People always compare to a surgeon, right? Like if you're going to need a heart surgeon or something like that, and would you want the guy that gives you the discounted rate and has done it maybe 6 times in his life, or do you want the guy that is well known, maybe well known in the community, that can perform this and he can guarantee that you're going to be able to stay alive?
Julie, that absolutely true. I've used that one in the past. I don't know in the real estate business, but look, you're going to have open heart surgery, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. Okay. Do you want the guy that's doing it for $19.95, or do you want the guy at Stanford with a waiting list that's a mile long that probably charges $800,000 per hour to cut you open because you want to live? Which one do you want? Right?
You can tailor it to your own. It doesn't even have to be a heart surgeon. but people use the doctor analysis a lot. You know, if you're,
Mhm.
or if you're an attorney, like you just got in trouble for, driving, you passed out at the wheel or something, right? And you're driving down the street and you hit 5 pedestrians or something like that. Do you want the attorney that's, never had a case like that, or do you want somebody that's experienced and that can, you know, manage expectations and be able to help you stay out of jail, right?
Yep.
Help you live your life fully to the future. I don't know how to say it, but
Yep. Yep.
just,
Hey,
just
give me Johnny Cochran. Don't give me Better Call Saul.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Michael. Um, another thing that's been used a lot, and I think is very, very appropriate, is you're not just paying me for my time, but you're paying me for my experience, right? You're buying my experience. Okay. How about, what is the discounter going to do for you at $750 flat fee? What is the discounter going to do for you in the event that things go bad? It's going to have your back if things go bad. It's going to be able to go to bat for you and negotiate for you if things go bad. What's going to happen then? Right? Because quite frankly, they haven't earned enough, they're not in a position to earn enough money to pay for all of that extra time if things go badly.
It's just an important transaction in your life. Most people, buying a house is like one of the biggest, if not the biggest, transactions that is going to affect their lifestyle, and how it goes is going to be directly associated to how well we negotiate for your client. Is a good negotiation, is that would that be important to you in regards to agency representation, something to that effect? It's a big transaction. You want it done. You only gone. If it doesn't get done right, what's going to be the result for you?
Let me add on to that too, Michael, because that's a really good point, right? This is an important transaction that you're only going to do probably 2 or 3 times in your entire life. There's serious financial ramifications for it. There's serious risk involved. There's serious exposure involved. And oh, by the way, like I said, this transaction is infrequent. You're not paying me $3,000 or 3% a week. You're paying me 3% one time for the largest investment in your life to date.
And I would say in California, Californians tend to be very litigious, and in this climate with real estate and all the changes that are happening right now, that you'd want somebody that knows how to negotiate the ins and outs and can foresee potential problems so that he can protect the client so that they aren't exposed to that. The other thing is, I can't remember what I was going to say. I was going to say something else, but I just slipped my mind. I've got so many things I'm trying to do at the same time. But anyway, yeah, I'll come back with it when I remember. But yeah, that was a really good point, Michael. I think that was excellent.
Who's ever had a tax problem? Okay. You got a tax problem and you got the IRS knocking at your door. Be honest. You want the lawyer that charges $150 an hour, or do you want the lawyer that charges $1,500 an hour? Which one do you want when the IRS is knocking at your door? Now, I understand there's affordability issues there, but if that's off the table, much like a BRBC's affordability issues, that you're going to get your money from the seller because you're good at what you do. If the affordability issue is off the table, which lawyer do you want? Right? Think about that. It's infrequent. It's the biggest purchase you'll make in your lifetime to date. Yes, you'll probably do it again if you live in California because our real estate cycle is like 3.8 years, but to date, it's the biggest purchase that you're going to make in your lifetime. you're probably not going to pay the bill. Okay. My service is absolutely superior to that of a discounter for all the reasons that we just mentioned. Why are we even talking about the discounter at this point? Why is it still a conversation point? Jess, what are you doing? You doing some kung fu over there? Okay. What else we got? What are some of the things we bring to the table? We've been talking about the financial issue of it. Okay, we've been talking about the financial issue of it, which is important. But remember, real estate's a human transaction, guys, with human beings. What are some of the things that we bring on the human level?
We're going to be here for you. You can pick up the phone and call us. We have teams that back us up. If you need to reach me and I'm not available, you can always contact my broker.
You won't pick up the phone, but you can call them.
Hey, if that the really billionaire guy that's like 85 years old gives people his personal phone number and they won't, he said he'll pick up. So at any rate, yeah, also marketing. I think that, I keep walking down the street and there's like 2 houses in my neighborhood that the agent just stuck a sign in the front yard. I know one of them, I think I talked to you about.
We're not to listings yet. You're cheating. We're not to listings. We're
Okay.
on
I'll shush my mouth. Thank you.
Let me get your creative juices flowing. Okay. Let me get your creative juices flowing. We're talking about the human level, the human interaction. Remember, at the end of the day, I don't care what, I will challenge anybody on this. At the end of the day, money is never the true deciding factor of who someone decides is going to be their agent. Okay. They want to be with someone who they feel they can trust, who has their best interests at heart, who's going to be there for them, who's going to protect them, who's going to look out for them, who's going to have their back, right? Buyers or sellers the same. If it's a competitive situation and I'm trying to get a fiduciary contract signed, I will absolutely highlight all the stuff, but I will spend most of my time on the human part of the transaction, which is this. Steve, you want to buy a house and I want that to happen for you. I care about how that process goes for you. I care about you as my client. Okay. My clients and their success means everything to me. I will pour everything I have into making sure that your transaction goes exactly the way you want it to go. At the end of the transaction, all I want you to say about me is how wonderful I am. And I want you to tell all of your friends, because for 25 years, the only reason that I'm still in business is from referrals from people just like you. You can trust me to do a good job for you, right? That's mine. What's yours? How do you tap into, or what do you bring to the human side of the equation for these buyers that are kind of out there in the wild, wild west right now? What are you going to do for them? How are you going to make it okay for them? Start thinking about it. Let me hear some ideas.
Yeah, there's been a lot of recent changes in the industry lately, and me and my team, have had some extensive training, and even though I'm kind of new at this, I feel like I'm more prepared than most of the people that I'm talking to help you through navigating the ins and outs of some of the nuances, and finding ways to uh, provide you with the best value and consultation for each step. There's so many steps along the way, finding the right uh setup and agreements, and screening properties, and status updates. I mean, the list is astronomical of all the details that are involved in making sure that you're successful in achieving your goals. And, we have a very experienced team that can help you do that. Something to that effect.
But do you care about them?
Yeah, because we do care. Yeah, how about that?
Good, good, Michael. Very, very good. All right, what else? Give me some more human connection stuff.
I
And if,
think,
go
oh,
ahead, go ahead.
I just was going to say that you have to establish that connection with them by, like maybe getting to know them at first, when you're sitting down and talking with them, find out what's important to them and then reiterate those things that are important to them and how you're going to solve those problems, right? And just be genuine. Don't look away, look at them, talk to them genuinely. And I think that that's building rapport and building trust, because people do business with who they like, they trust, and I forgot the other thing. But they do business with people that they like and they trust.
No,
And
like and trust.
yeah, you have to build that rapport with them so that they learn to like and trust you. You could be somebody newer, and if they like you and they trust you, and you speak to them with a very concrete way of talking to them, you sound very confident. They might pick you over somebody that's been doing it over and over again for years. You just have to be able to present your value out there first, and then they can if they feel like you're offering them value and you're giving them concrete feeling of trust, that you're going to get them through this transaction without a hitch, they might just decide to work with you over somebody that's been more experienced. So I think you should find out about their family, find out about what their goals are. What are they trying to accomplish today? What's the most important thing that they want to accomplish? Make a list of questions out, and I'm sure that Damien and Brandon can tell you from experience, how to start that conversation and build that rapport.
I agree. And I will tell you this, I'll add on to that. I think that experience is probably the easiest objection to overcome. Even though most people would probably say that it's not, I think experience is the easiest objection to overcome. And it goes just like this, right? If somebody wants to question your experience, and a few of you are new, so if somebody wants to question your experience, say, I get how you could feel that way. But what I probably should have told you in the beginning and I didn't cover is that I partner with my broker on everything, and he's a top performer in the real estate industry for 25 years. Okay. There is nothing he hasn't seen. There is nothing he hasn't experienced. He is the best in the business, and he will be on your transaction as well. And then if you need me to show up to reinforce that to them, I'm happy to do that. But don't ever let somebody buffalo you with the experience bullet. Absolutely, positively not.
Yeah,
Right.
I would just say that, me and my office teammates, my broker, together, we have X number of years. We got 40 years, 60 years of experience underneath our belt.
Sure.
Don't lean on Damien as much as you, because you want them to trust you. And if they're like, well, why isn't Damien? They might be like, well, why isn't Damien here? They might even not even tell you that. So you just have to come up with your own script in your mind to overcome these things. And that's just something that you have to practice, and it'll happen over time. And, I haven't done this in so long. I'm actually afraid myself. It's different going into someone's home and having that conversation. It is the biggest asset and the biggest transaction that they're going to do in their lives. Some of them, some people have done it over and over again, but, you have to remind them too that, you just can't be afraid. You can't back down. You can't look afraid. You can't talk like you're not confident in yourself. You just make sure that you're polished when you walk in there, and that you have as many answers as you can. You don't know the answer. You just say, that's a really great question. I'm going to get the answer for you on that. Let me follow up with you.
Yeah, it takes practice. It absolutely takes practice, and it takes thought beforehand, which is exactly why we're doing it right now, and putting it on recording so that you can go back to it and you can think about the value that we do bring. Okay. So let's switch gears. That was good stuff. Let's go to the sales side of the sell side of the transaction. Okay. The sell side of the transaction.
You need to move something for you?
And let me set the framework for you. Cindy, are you in the grass? What is going on?
Oh, hold on. Oh, Oh, shoot, how do I? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, we can
Oh,
hear
I'm
you.
at the hair salon. That's why I'm
Oh.
not. Oh, yeah, I'm getting my hair done. That's why I'm in the grass. That's why you're not gonna see my face.
Oh, we see your feet. We see your
You
feet.
do? You
Okay, well,
do?
don't
Yep.
don't
Oh, there.
don't take it personal, but I'm gonna mute you now. Goodbye. Let's go to the sell side of the transaction. Man, let's see how much fun we have in this office. Let me reset the framework for you again. Michael, the discounter, has offered to list and sell your property as a listing agent for 2.5%. And don't worry, you will never have to pay a buyer's agent commission, because if any buyers come along, Michael is going to handle them for you in the same transaction bucket for the same 2.5%. Michael's going to do it all for you. But guys, this one is out there. I'm telling you right now, this one is out there. This one is like, well, don't worry, you only have to pay 2.5%. And if you need a buyer's agent, we'll handle that too. We'll handle it in our own office. It's going to be great. You're going to save all this money. Okay. This one is out there. So tell me how you are going to combat that discounter's proposal. Why should they hire you, who may or may not encourage them to consider an SPBB form for compensation to a buyer's broker over the discounter? Actually, let's do that. And let's do the guy that just says, I'm going to list your house for $1,500 flat fee. Okay. I'm going to list your house for $1,500 flat fee. All right, go. What do you got?
We can use the same track as I used last time. Is this important transaction to you? I mean, is your house, the value of your house, is that important to you? Is this transaction going to have an effect on your lifestyle going forward? Have what on your next, from you go from this property to your next property, is it going to have an effect on what choices you have to make to the next property choice?
Yep.
And there's so many valuations that will provide, and like you said before, I can go through the list, which is astronomical. All those things one at a time. I could ask if those things are important and how they might create value depending on each seller's goals.
Right. Good. Let me get your creative juices flowing. Okay. The first one, I'll attack the first one, which is, don't worry, you're going to pay 2.5% and we'll handle the buyer's agent in-house. Now, if you're a fan of doing dual agency, you're not going to want to hear what I have now, but you guys all know how I feel about dual agency. And my question is, why the hell would you want to do that? Why the hell would you want the same agent to represent you as a seller and also represent the buyer? If you're going to sue somebody in court, do you want to share lawyers? Do you think that's a good idea? Why are we even discussing that? Okay, let me talk to the guy that's going to list your house for $1,500. There is no possible way that they can effectively market your property or market it at the same level that I do. They can't even come close to that for $1,500. It will cost me more than $1,500 to market your property in the way that it needs to be marketed to have the effective result in the real estate market today. I can show you how I'm going to spend in excess of $1,500 doing that. But hey, if you want to limit your exposure and you want to limit the quality of your listing, go right ahead. You guys probably don't believe that I've said that, but I have.
I think sometimes you can actually, I don't know, I'm not very good at this, but Damien, you probably are really good at this. Have you heard of Socratic selling before?
I don't even know what that means.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
basically you ask them questions that lead them to the answer you want them to come up with. And
Sure.
it's their idea. And
Yeah.
I'm not very good at it. My neighbor is really good at it. My old neighbor is really good at it. I never really practiced it that much, but you could ask them questions about, what's important to them again, and then just come up with, so that they figure out the value. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe we should try to even work on some of those questions because
Here's what I'll tell you about, and I don't have anything bad to say about that method. I don't. In fact, I mean, I've got a lot, I didn't know that's what it's called, but I got a lot of experience with that. But here's what I will say. If you are competing with a discounter, if they let the discounter in the door, okay, and they're seriously considering their proposal, their answer to all of your questions about what's important is going to be money. It's going to be money.
it's
So,
also going to be how fast do you want to sell your house? Are you serious about selling your house?
right.
What are you trying to accomplish? What are
Right.
your goals? What's the cost of waiting? You know what I mean?
Right. And so that's why everything that I say is going to basically illustrate to them why paying me the money, because look, I don't even need to ask them. I know that every single seller wants it done fast, effectively, and they want the most money in their pocket possible. They all want that. I don't need to ask them that. They all want that, right? So everything that I say is gonna illustrate for them how paying me more money is going to get their transaction done quicker, smoother, and yield them a higher net than anybody else in the industry, discounter or regular agent. It doesn't matter. Anybody in the industry. Not to mention that my methods and my abilities are so effective that I will get them more money in net than the difference in money, the difference in the amount of money that I'm charging them from the discounter. Great. So it's going to cost you another $12,000 to use me versus Michael, the discounter. Okay. If you do use me, I'm going to make you an extra 20. Okay. So you're going to be 8 ahead when you're done with me. If you go with Michael, you're just going to get what you're going to get. And there's no way that he can do what I do for that amount of money. It's not even financially possible. There's no way that he can do it. He can't. My photo and video package costs $1,200. He can't do it. So go ahead and hire Michael and his iPhone and his high school son that got a video camera for Christmas, and let me know how that goes. Right? Okay, I've talked enough. I want to hear from the rest of you. Let's go.
Do you pay all that out of pocket ahead yourself, Damien, or do you
Absolutely, you have to. That's the only way to do it. I mean, I'm sure there are some photographer and media companies out there that say pay me out of closing, but they're no good. I mean, if they're any good, they want their money. So, by the time I get done prepping a listing and getting ready to go to market, I'm probably $2,000 in the hole.
Sorry, my dog's barking.
That's okay. We all have them. Literally. So yeah, there's an investment required on every listing up front if you want to be an effective listing agent. It costs money. It absolutely does. Yeah.
If they decide to pull the listing, they decide they don't want to work with you or something. Do you have something in there that they have to pay for those things?
Yeah, they have to pay all my marketing costs if they fire me. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. If it expires, they don't. Like if I don't sell it and it expires, they don't. But if they fire me, they have to pay them. Yeah. Okay, what else? What do you bring to the table as a listing agent that a discounter cannot match? Come on.
I'm here to support their peace of mind. I'm here to make sure that the property gets marketed. I'm here to make sure that they are informed as a seller as what any changes are, what's going on, not to sugarcoat any possible problems, to keep them protected and to stay fully focused by not pulling a dual agency and trying to also get their buyer a good deal. I'm here for them, not anybody else. And that's what you pay for. Is it worth your peace of mind?
Guys, Karen, great. Guys, I know that it is so, and I've done it myself 100 times. I get it. It is so tempting to do dual agency on a listing and get twice the money. I know. Okay. But if you can just wrap into your brain that you're never going to do it, so that you never have to like forget about how wonderful it was to get that big fat check. If you're going to wrap into your brain that you're never going to do it because it's problematic and it's scary and it's just not a good idea, and then you can hammer them on the fact that they would be a fool to allow their listing agent to be a dual agent, you're going to be miles ahead. I never get as much traction on a principle as that one. Okay. I bring it up every listing appointment, even if they don't ask. I'm here for you. I care about your success. I care about your financial security. I care about you in the transaction. You need to know that if the opportunity for dual agency arises with me, I will refuse it. I will refer it because my fiduciary responsibility and my level of care is to you and to you only. Okay? Because I promise you, if they interview almost anybody else, they're going to say that they'll do dual agency and that they're really good at it and they've done it 100 times and there's no problems and they don't need to worry. Okay? And I want them to. I want them to say that because they will remember what I said, which is, hey, wait a minute. How much can this person really be concerned with their fiduciary responsibility to me if they're willing to take on the buyer because they want a bigger commission? You'll get more mileage out of that than anything else. And I know it sucks, and I'm sorry.
Okay, can I go back to the shoes again?
Yes, please.
So you're not saving money by paying less for your listing agent. You're gonna end up losing money in the end because they're not gonna sell your house for as much. If you go buy Walmart shoes, they're gonna die and you're gonna have to buy them over and over and over because they're gonna keep dying on you. If you buy Timberlands, they have a lifetime warranty like me, and we're gonna last forever.
Yeah, they have a lifetime warranty like me.
If something happens.
I love it. I
You know,
love it.
those expensive Timberlake shoes and run to the hills.
That's right. That's right. Hey, you know what? On listings, you can really kind of lean into that too. And again, do this delicately because you can really piss people off. But once you get into it, hey, look, you're in their house, right? You're looking at their stuff. Okay. You're looking at their cars. You see everything. Okay. I promise you, you're going to find many, many items in their house, regardless of how much the house is worth, that are, what shall we call it? Name brand, more expensive, quality conscious, whatever. You know, work on this and practice this, but absolutely you can use those as illustrated examples, and it's gonna ring true with them because it's relating to stuff that they own and they bought and they did it for a reason, right? They did it for a reason. And even if the reason was because they wanted to show off to their neighbors, they're never gonna claim that. Okay? They're gonna claim that they made a quality decision. I chose to spend more money on that car versus that car because quality was important to me, right? I chose to buy the Timberlands rather than the Walmarts because quality was important to me. Comfort was important to me. Well, when you hire me, that's what you're getting. You're getting quality service and marketing, quality experience. You're getting comfort because you can rest easy knowing that you are in good hands. Are you in good hands? Good hands. And that I hold my duty to you in the highest regard. It's gone. It's leaving. Okay. All of that matters. And you can highlight that. But I'm warning you, after really botching it up several times myself, you got to be careful with it. You got to approach it delicately because they will get pissed if you handle that the wrong way. Okay. What else? We're almost out of time, but this is good stuff. Anything else listing wise that you bring to the table that the discounter does not. There's a couple of really, really big ones that are NextHome related that I need you to tune in on real quick here. What happens to a listing as soon as you put it in the NextHome system? Does anybody know? You remember that from training or onboarding?
It goes everywhere.
It goes everywhere. It's called syndicating. And as soon as you put a listing in our system, it automatically syndicates to like 800 websites nationwide. Okay. Is your discounter going to do that for you? I can answer that for you. The answer is no, because syndication costs money. Okay. And they don't have the money if they're going to sell your house for $1,500. All right. Your discounter is going to put it on the MLS and it's going to automatically syndicate to realtor.com, Zillow, and homes.com. That is the extent of your exposure. Okay. What I'm offering you is 800 additional electronic websites nationwide in addition to those that your discounter couldn't even dream of paying for. Okay. What else NextHome related happens? Does anybody know? This is really important to a seller. You have to click a button and you have to say it, but Mr. or Mrs. Seller, you're going to get a weekly traffic report from me that shows how your listing is performing nationwide to all of those websites so that you can be sure and confident that your house is being advertised effectively across the nation on the top 800 real estate websites in the nation. Can your discounter do that? I will tell you, no, they cannot. Okay?
Can I? Oh, I'm
Go.
sorry.
Yeah, go.
I think I better let you roll and then I'll ask you a question.
I was just going to say, and kind of wrapping up, what was I going to say? Sellers already think that we all say the same thing. Okay? That we all say the same thing. But what we don't all do is prove to them that what we say is actually happening. Right? That do not discount that advantage. It's an enormous advantage almost against almost every other brokerage in the world. Okay. You guys know Brendan came from one of the biggest brokerages in the world, Coldwell Banker, right? I mean, they're tough. They don't do that. It's not available.
They syndicate. I worked there.
Not to that level, and you don't get a seller report that reports on the clickbait of the syndication. You do not.
I think they used to, but maybe not. No, maybe not.
Nope.
What about EXP? Because
Nope.
I think some of these teams on EXP, they just like the original one I was telling you about. He just put it on the MLS and stuck a sign out there. I guess he's just trying to do the discount broker thing, and so he's if he puts it on the MLS, is it going to syndicate or does he have to put it through his EXP?
I mean, MetroList syndicates to some extent. It's pretty minor, you know, it compared to the scope of the NextHome syndication as comparison. But yeah, MetroList syndicates to some extent. They do. I mean, anything that goes on the MLS will be syndicated. It's just what's the quality of that syndication and what's the width of that syndication.
Yeah. I'll have to go.
It's not automatic, you know. So the interface that you have here is superior to most interfaces, and you know you don't have to reprogram everything manually, or you know you can set it up and go.
Best syndication in the industry, period.
Awesome. Yeah, I have to get familiar with the system. I've had so many other things on my mind to get done, but that's the next step. So I'm excited about that. So I have I have a lot of the same tools on my own. Well, I have the same tools on my own stuff. Well, of course, it's not for listing and selling; it's for mortgage. But but having everything, both sides, the NextHome and my system, it's pretty powerful. So
Very powerful if you use it.
yeah,
Right.
that's what I'm doing.
What
Starting to
else
do.
we got? We're gonna wrap up here. We're over time, and I apologize for that. But anything else before we wrap up? This was a good conversation. I appreciate you guys' participation, and I hope you learned a lot. So I would encourage you, as soon as this drops in from Zoom, it's gonna I'll download it. I'll put it onto the channel. I would encourage you to absolutely watch this again, because here's what I think. It's been a little bit quiet, and I think that that's about to change. So you're going to have an opportunity to be executing BRBC agreements. You're going to have an opportunity to be executing listing agreements. You can't execute any of those agreements without some kind of interview or meeting, right? You've got to get ready now to the best of your ability for those meetings, for those interactions, okay? If you want to work one-on-one with me, we can do it over Zoom. We can do it in person. I'm totally happy and totally available to help you polish your pitch. Okay. You just got to do some of the work in the beginning. Don't come to me cold like, tell me what to do, boss. No. Okay. You gotta do a little bit of work, and then you and I will polish it up. Anything else before we wrap up and go watch football?
That's great. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. Anybody? Anybody? Clicking the button in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go kill a discounter.